like to start this morning's greeting by introducing the chair of MCLA's Board of Trustees, Mr. Mohan Boodram. Mohan?
On behalf of my fellow trustees, good morning and welcome to the Spring 2021 opening greeting. I'd like to thank President Burge for this opportunity to address our MCLA community. A warm welcome to the MCLA staff and faculty as we gather to launch the Spring 2021 semester. Let me begin by thanking you all, faculty and staff alike, for the resilience you've shown during the COVID-19 pandemic. Your continued willingness to work differently ensures that we're able to continue to provide a quality liberal arts education for our talented and diverse student body. As the science and data around COVID-19 continues to evolve, and we work together to maintain operations in this ever-changing environment, I applaud your efforts to ensure our community is as safe as possible. The effectiveness of our enhanced testing and safety protocols and our communication of their importance are clearly demonstrated in the way our community has managed to limit the on-campus spread of the COVID virus. We should take pride in being one of the safest communities in the Commonwealth. I have every confidence in the college's spring pandemic planning, and of course I'm especially confident in your ability to continue to provide our students the best experience possible under these most challenging of circumstances. Before I close, I want to comment briefly on the state of our nation at this moment in time. The violence of January 6th and the continued efforts of those who would use falsehoods and unfounded conspiracy theories to upend our Constitution and disrupt our democracy are beyond comprehension. That there are elected officials and others sworn to uphold the Constitution in their ranks is a betrayal of the highest order. Now more than ever, there is no more important foundation to our democracy than education. Education is the path towards our shared American ideal of a just, peaceful, and democratic society. Let us recommit to the promise of a liberal arts education that equips our students with critical thinking and analytical reasoning skills and enables them to develop the habits of mind to examine the world around them through multiple lenses. And let us also recommit to the idea that each of us has a role to play in creating a just and equitable society where threats to our shared core values and collective well-being are soundly defeated. Providing an environment where students from all backgrounds can earn an academic degree is an essential part of this effort, and I and my fellow board members are proud to be your partners in this vital work. So like you, I look forward with great anticipation to the days when we can once again celebrate the start of each semester in person. Until then, may each of us be in good health and good spirits. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I thank you and extend our best wishes for a successful spring semester.
Thank you, Mohan. Last January 28th, nearly 1 year ago, we began to learn about the coronavirus that was spreading quickly around the globe and for which there was no vaccine. In those early days of monitoring the CDC and WHO guidance and alerts, we were focused on the impact of the virus and what it might do for our students who were studying abroad that semester, as well as the impact on spring travel courses. Little did we know how pervasive and dangerous and disruptive COVID-19 would be for our world and our lives. Today, we have seen COVID-19 change our familiar patterns of living, learning, and working. Through it all, however, I have been so impressed, so inspired, so grateful for the way in which students and you have helped the MCLA community maintain a positive outlook and manage these disruptions. Thank you for taking good care of yourselves, for taking good care of one another, and for taking good care of our students. Regardless of our success at preventing the spread on campus, we know that more than 400,000 lives have been lost to the COVID-19 virus. Among them are extended family members of our colleagues. Parents, grandparents, siblings, and cousins have lost the battle against the virus over the past year. And I'd like us to take a moment of grace to think about our colleagues, their sadness, and about how we can be good friends in supporting them. At the same time, I am tremendously grateful that none of our students or colleagues, to my knowledge, have succumbed to the virus. I think this is due in part to the implementation of our safety protocols and everyone's compliance with them. We finished the fall semester with a 0.23 positive rate, 10 times lower than the Commonwealth's rate. And despite there being some cases of COVID-19 among students and employees, we are not aware of any spread that occurred on campus. Thank you all again for your efforts to limit the spread. We will increase our testing efforts for the spring semester, which were described in a message that Barb Chaput sent to the campus on January 12th. I'm also happy to share with you that Governor Baker and the Massachusetts State Legislature have agreed to level full appropriation funding for the fiscal 21 year for public higher education. I want to thank our faculty colleagues who added their voices to the advocacy efforts to secure this funding. MCLA had budgeted an 8% reduction in the appropriation for this year, but with level funding, we can eliminate $1 million of the $2.5 million deficit in the budget. Moreover, with the recent stimulus funds that Congress approved, MCLA may be able to reduce the deficit further, depending on the U.S. Department of Education's final rules on how to use these funds. I am cautiously optimistic that we may finish the year with a balanced budget without tapping into the reserves that the board approved. We can only do this, however, if we remain steadfast in controlling expenses. I'm reminding all budget managers to avoid any unnecessary expenses for the rest of the budget year. Next year's budget will be equally as challenging as this year's. We will not have the benefit of postponed bond debt payments that we had this year, and so we must maintain a frugal budgeting posture that we established this year. As I drafted these remarks last Thursday, I began feeling a great sense and urgency for hope following the peaceful transition of the presidential administrations. The rhetoric and actions of violence over the last 4 years have had a deleterious impact on our country and in our lives, disproportionately so on communities of color. Seeing McConnell and McCarthy joining Schumer and Pelosi and President Biden and the First Lady attending Mass together was comforting to me. To see Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Obama, and Vice President Pence supporting the transition reminded me of what bipartisanship looks like. The images and messages of people coming together, crossing over boundaries, renewed me and my hope that we can have that at MCLA. Despite our efforts to date to create safe, welcoming places at MCLA for our students and colleagues of color, we have not yet realized that goal. There are still too many instances on and off campus when our students and colleagues feel unsafe, intimidated, or unwelcome. What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? We all need to do more to reduce barriers, to cross boundaries, to open our hearts and minds to others so that everyone feels valued and welcomed here. The foundation to a liberal education is to look at things through multiple lenses, to know we have a knowledge about a particular topic or subject, and to understand it's not the only knowledge about that. Others have a different knowledge about these things, and we have to be open to that other knowledge. We can't do that until we're open to one another. All of us have work to do to exercise our roles and our responsibilities to create a more inclusive climate at MCLA. I have work to do in this area too. Starting next month, MCLA's Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Christopher McDonald Dennis, and I will participate in a year-long program hosted by Bridge focused on inclusive leadership for social change. These monthly discussions among organizational leaders around Berkshire County are designed to help make inclusion an organizational, governmental, and community characteristic for the Berkshires. All of us have a role to play in improving the personal and professional experiences of our colleagues and students, and to make them feel welcome at MCLA. 2 weeks ago, in my message to campus following the violence in Washington, D.C., I wrote, "Let us recommit to the causes for justice and peace so that all people have opportunities to advance." We will realize that commitment when we reject racism and acknowledge the importance and the value of our students and colleagues of color here at MCLA. Along these lines, I want to welcome Dr. Alicia Redden and Dr. Christopher Merceron, Director and Assistant Director, respectively, of MCLA's TRIO program. As you may recall, last fall I announced that the U.S. Department of Education awarded MCLA a $1.5 million and 5-year grant to help students from under-resourced backgrounds achieve their academic goals. Doctors Redden and Merceron are off to a very good start, with more than 40 current students already having applied to participate in the TRIO program. The TRIO offices are located on the lower level of Friel Library. And speaking from experience, I can tell you that Alicia and Chris are very fun to be around and are valuable additions to our community. I hope you'll take the time to visit them. You won't be sorry that you did. Later this week, I will charge a Public Safety Oversight Committee comprised of students, faculty, and staff to work with our public safety campus police colleagues to enhance their community policing efforts. This committee is a helpful outcome of last summer's task force that made recommendations to help the campus police department enhance their efforts to make MCLA a safer community for everyone. Lastly, this summer, COPLAC will sponsor its 2021 Summer Institute with the theme Racial Justice in Public Liberal Arts. The University of North Carolina, Asheville will host the Institute June 10th through the 12th, and I encourage people to participate. COPLAC will decide later this spring whether to hold the meeting virtually or in person or both. Finally, I know everything is harder these days, and all of us are excited by the thought of a return to normal in the very near future. Until then, if you or someone you know is feeling anxious or overwhelmed or in need of some assistance, please remember that our Employee Assistance Program provides a confidential counseling service. You can call EAP at 800-252-4555 or contact them at www.theeap.com. Again, that phone number is 800-252-4555. I look forward to seeing you around campus over the next few weeks, and until then, stay well and welcome back.